Yeah, I mean, do you understand why some of us see a problem with that? And let me ask just a very simple question. Do you work for the President of the United States?
I work for the American people.
So you will sign it then?
Sorry?
You will sign the check then? If you're a paymaster, you'd be the person's signature is to the Treasury Judgment Fund.
I would assume it would be a wire transfer.
Yes, I'm assuming we're not that old school. You would write the check willingly if you're told by a DOJ to the president.
I will follow the law, Senator.
I mean, I think for many of us, this is very simple, and I think if this had been happening in any other countries, it would look absolutely like a total shakedown of the American taxpayer. We would agree. Would you agree that $10 billion is a good sum of money?
Yes, sir.
Where would that be cut from? Let's say for some reason he actually wins that lawsuit. Where would that $10 billion come from?
Again, it would come from...
Process-wise. I'm not asking like your opinion whether it's right or wrong.
It would come from Treasury.
It comes from Treasury, which comes from the general fund?
The Treasury general account.
So taxpayers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Part of the 440,000 taxpayers whose returns were leaked.
If the president, they're not suing, but if the president prevails in this lawsuit, he's going to be able to pocket that money. My question is the president, has anyone in the president's office talked to you about this lawsuit in any regard?
They have not, and the president has said he will donate the proceeds to charity. You may have missed that.
So no one at all has discussed this to you whatsoever?
No, sir, and the president said he will.
Have you received, I didn't ask any more questions. Have you received any advice from Treasury's legal division about how to handle this potential conflict?
This is a Justice Department matter. They represent Treasury in it.
Have someone from the Department of Justice actually come and talk to you saying that this is their purview and you need to stay out of it? Or who has discussed to you what is your role in this?
Our general counsel, who's sitting behind me, has told me that it is a Justice Department matter. The Justice Department defends Treasury in matters like this.
Okay, so it has been discussed with you. Do you have any final say at all in the process of this? Or is the DOJ just going to instruct you to cut a check and or settle, and you have no independence to actually make a decision whether or not the president deserves $10 billion?
Again, that is a DOJ matter.
And so the DOJ will entirely make that decision whether or not the president should receive $10 billion. You have no say at all.
Correct.
So you would just have to write the check if you were told to write the check.
Correct.
And you would write the check willingly if you're told by a DOJ to the president.
I will follow the law, Senator.
Okay. I mean, I think for many of us, this is very simple, and I think if this had been happening in any other countries, it would look absolutely like a total shakedown of the American taxpayer. Are you also aware that President Trump has filed claims seeking $230 million from the Justice Department for investigations conducted during his previous candidacy?
I'm unaware of the cumulative number.
Okay. So if the president wins or settles these claims, that money will come also from the Treasury Judgment Fund, which you do control. Have you recused yourself from any decisions about paying the president on these claims?
Again, I'll follow the law, and I'm not involved with any of this. It stems from justice.
So even though the Treasury Judgment Fund is called the Treasury Judgment Fund, you have no control over the Treasury Judgment Fund?
We act as paymaster.
So you will sign it then?
Sorry?
You will sign the check then? If you're a paymaster, you'd be the person's signature is to the Treasury Judgment Fund?
I would assume it would be a wire transfer.
Yes, I'm assuming we're not that old school.
Yep.
But that being said, so you have no say in this whatsoever. You will only basically follow what the DOJ says, but you're the person that actually is the final person that pushes send, essentially, on the wire transfer.
Yes.
And even if you feel or that it is unjust, the fact that this president is basically plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars, you will still hit that send button.
Even if I believe that 6103, the IRS tax code, was violated and 440,000 taxpayers were leaked.
So
back to
this other thing. So now you do believe, though, I mean, do you understand why some of us see a problem with that? And let me ask just a very simple question. Do you work for the President of the United States?
I work for the American people.
So can the president fire you?
Or he can.
He can fire you, correct?
Yes.
So isn't it a conflict of interest that you're going to be making these decisions and the president has full power over you?
I think you're confused, Senator. I am not part of the decision.
Well, you're certainly a person that send on the wire transfer, and I think that's why there's a lot of people that are actually do not trust and do not trust the president's actually looking out his best interest.
I guess you're saying that
I'm controlling the time here.
Obeying the law.
I'm controlling that. You're not obeying the law. You're plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars. Plundering U.S. taxpayer dollars. Plundering taxpayer dollars. Plundering.
The high-stakes conflict of interest scrutinized during this congressional hearing ultimately culminated on May 18, 2026, when President Trump filed a voluntary dismissal to end his historic $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS in exchange for a sweeping Department of Justice settlement. The out-of-court resolution, which followed intense pressure from U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams over a sitting president suing an agency under his own command, initially established a highly controversial $1.776 billion taxpayer-funded anti-weaponization fund, alongside a permanent directive halting all current and future IRS tax audits into the Trump family and business. However, following immediate, intense bipartisan backlash over the use of federal revenue, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche announced a complete retreat from pursuing the multi-billion-dollar fund on June 2, 2026, while the unprecedented audit immunity clauses remain an active friction point on Capitol Hill. During the sharp line of questioning that predicted this structural gridlock, Senator Ruben Gallego focused heavily on the mechanics of a potential payout, forcing Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to explicitly confirm who would ultimately foot the bill if the president prevailed or secured a settlement. Bessent reluctantly conceded that a $10 billion judgment would not be absorbed through departmental budget cuts, but would instead be drawn directly from the Treasury General account, the fundamental fund fueled directly by millions of American taxpayers. Gallego fiercely highlighted the irony of the situation, noting that the hundreds of thousands of everyday citizens whose personal data was compromised alongside Trump's are not suing the government, meaning everyday taxpayers are effectively being forced to finance a multi-billion-dollar windfall that the president would pocket directly. The structural gridlock grew even more volatile as Gallego pressed the Treasury Secretary on his absolute lack of independence or decision-making power in evaluating whether the president actually deserves the massive sum. Bessent repeatedly deflected the scrutiny by asserting that the litigation is strictly a Department of Justice matter, revealing that Treasury's internal legal division has deferentially handed full purview of the defense over to the DOJ. The cross-examination exposed a bizarre administrative dynamic where the Treasury Department is completely sidelined from negotiating or contesting the claim, functioning strictly as a passive paymaster that must automatically execute the multi-billion-dollar wire transfer the moment the administration's own DOJ issues the instruction. The confrontation reached its absolute boiling point when Gallego expanded the scope of the financial scrutiny, highlighting that President Trump has separately filed claims seeking an additional $230 million from the Department of Justice for past campaign investigations. When asked point-blank if he had formally recused himself from decisions regarding these massive executive payouts, Bessent sidestepped the inquiry, maintaining that he is entirely detached from the process and will simply obey the statutory rule of law. Gallego fiercely rejected the defense, declaring that if a sitting leader used the state apparatus to extract billions of dollars in any other nation, the global community would look at it as a textbook total shakedown of the civilian population. While Secretary Bessent tried to diffuse the mounting bipartisan outrage by reminding the panel that President Trump has publicly pledged to donate 100% of any successful lawsuit proceeds to charity, critics remain deeply alarmed by the severe institutional precedent. The original dispute dates back to the unauthorized disclosure of Trump's tax returns by former government contractor Charles Littlejohn, who was previously sentenced to 5 years in prison for leaking the records of the president and hundreds of thousands of other high-profile taxpayers. Ultimately, the high-profile Capitol Hill clash leaves a major cloud of skepticism hanging over the administration, as lawmakers vow to keep fighting against what they characterize as an unprecedented plundering of hard-earned American taxpayer dollars.